Okay, welcome back. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this part in AutoCAD. So we can see that we've got a 3-inch deep, 6-inch wide rectangle, and then we'll go ahead and add the slot in. So we'll bounce back to AutoCAD. We need a 3-inch deep, 6-inch long rectangle, and we can offset this line 4 inches, and then another inch. And I know what you're thinking, well, the title block looks really small, and it is, which is fine. We're going to go ahead and freeze our border layer. Again, the beauty of using layers is that we can get rid of things we don't need and deal with them later. So now what we decided we're going to do is we're going to change our layer to projection, and we are going to, second step, draw in the front view. And projection lines are what gets those distances transferred from the top view to the front view. Remember in the lecture, we said that distance between the views is equal to the depth of the part, in this case 3 inches. So we'll go ahead and draw that. And now I can do this a couple different ways. I could draw these lines in, or I could just copy them. I'm going to copy them. And I'm going to set object as my current layer. And now I'm just going to draw in, I have 2-inch tall. I got my height right here. I'm going to come down 2 over 6 and then close. Now I believe this slot is 1 inch deep, which it is. So we can draw now down 1, either over 1 or over to our projection line. And now I've got my top view and my front view are both done. And I know I went through that a little quick, but that's pretty basic AutoCAD that I was doing. So we're going to go ahead now and go back to projection. We're going to draw our miter line, and the angle of that, remember, is 45. Now all I care about is that the miter line comes past this point. So I'm going to draw it up higher than it needs to be. And then I'm going to draw from my top view over like this. And I'm going to do the same thing from the back side, over and down. And then I'm going to switch up to my object layer, and I'm going to complete that down 2 over 3. Now what I like to do is a double check. And I like to double check that all of my corners have projection lines drawn off of them. So for example, this corner right here has a projection line coming off of it. Now we transfer width from top view to front view. That's the one dimension that those two views share. Remember, each view shares one dimension. And so this corner here is the same as this corner here because they are the same in width. The same as this corner and this corner are the same. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 corners and 4 projection lines that transfer those widths down. Now I've got 2 depth and I've got 2 over here that come off the miter line. I am missing projection lines here and here. Notice that I've got the wrong layer set, so we'll just go ahead and change those. Come back and set projection as our current layer. And I notice that I've got one more corner right here that is not projected. So I'm going to draw a projection line here to here, and I'm just going to draw a line across. Now this is where our hidden lines come in, because this edge, this corner, does exist. However, it's going to be hidden because I do not see it through the solid face of this right here. So this line is here. It runs all the way to the back, and it is hidden because it's behind this face. Last step, add some dimensions. So we're going to go ahead and start with our smaller dimensions. put those in. These do look a little small, so we could use the dim scale command. Change that to 1. And then if we go to annotate and then update, we can pick our dimensions and see that our numbers do get bigger. And now we can continue. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 width dimensions, 1 depth, and 2 height. So I'm going to go ahead and put my depth dimension over here, my 2 height dimensions over here, and now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dimensions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dimensions. So again, the thing that I take the most points off for is lack of dimensions. And the easiest way to do that is to do what I just did. Count how many dimensions I have total. If you've got the total number the same as mine, then you're on the right track, but you're not quite there yet. You want to make sure that you've got them separated by dimension, height, width, or depth. So here I've got 1, 2, 3 widths, 1, 2 heights, and 1 depth. And when we come back to AutoCAD, I've got 1, 2, 3 widths, 1 depth, and 1, 2 heights. Now, if you remember, our border is a little off, which is okay. We're just going to move this down and maybe move it a little more down. And then to change the size of that, we will scale it by a factor of, let's say, 1.25. And that looks pretty good. Last thing we need to do, actually, I think I'm going to scale that border just a little bit more. Let's go 1.1, so 10% bigger. We need to put in our view labels. So we're going to put in text and pick the 2 corners. And this is front view. Please make sure that you use capitals. Always caps with technical drawing. This is centered. And now I can move it down a little bit. I would say that this text is on the big side, but if I pick it, I can come in, change that to say 0.25. That looks a lot better. Now I can copy this from here up to here, and I can copy it from the midpoint to the midpoint. Change this to top, and then you'll see that it stays centered. Change this to side, and this is ready to print and turn in. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one.